All right, Doc, we finally get to sit down.
Hey, man, it took us longer now.
Yeah, well, last time when at the TV One show, you came to the studio.
Yeah.
But now it's mine, so different conversation.
Hey, man, I love what you got going on here, man.
Well,
you got your little vibe set.
Well, we like to do a little bit different.
Yeah.
A little bit different.
Right on.
So when we travel around the country, we try to mix it up a little bit for our sit down for Rolling with Roland. So
yeah.
try to have different conversations.
Surprised you ain't got a little taste set up somewhere, man. You know.
Well, I'm probably the only non-drinker here.
For real?
So, yeah, never drank in my life.
All right. Well, we'll talk. We'll talk offline, man.
But I don't know why people give me alcohol. For my birthday, some people give me alcohol. I'm like, why y'all give me alcohol?
That's just being courteous. They don't want to drink in your face without offering you.
And I'm fine. now, my parents love it because they come to the crib and they like, oh, all this champagne people give you.
Yeah.
So they enjoy visiting.
Right.
They enjoy all the free alcohol.
Right on.
So it's all good.
Okay.
It's all good, man. There's so many different things going on. I want to start with. You were participating in the Global Hope Forum, and it was a really interesting conversation because there's so many people who talk about art, you talk about music, you talk about movies, and even in my business, I'm always explaining to people, no, we got to have more discussion on the business of the business.
Right.
And I think that's probably the biggest issue that many people have. That is, they want to focus on, the artistic piece. Mm-hmm. But if you don't focus on the business of the business,
right,
you can get screwed real quick.
You will. You will. You either learn what you need to know, pay someone to learn what you need to know, or pay for what you didn't learn that you needed to know. Mm-hmm. And those are the only options, you know. I was just fortunate enough, man, to I was challenged by my uncle early on, before I even had a career. Like I was, I guess maybe 8 years old, and my uncle said, what do you want to do? And I told him I wanted to be a rapper. And he said, okay, well, I don't know anything about the music business, so what you should do is learn everything there is to know about the music business, and I'll make sure that you have the resources to push you through. And so I went and bought books, all you need to know about the music business, hit me in. I just went and bought a bunch of books and just started reading as a 10-year-old, just reading. And so I learned, all things licensing, mechanical rights. I learned about publishing, learned about, how composition is broke up into two pieces, the writer's portion and the producer's portion. But by the time I actually learned, I came back and I was ready to okay, I got it. He would go into prison. So I had all this information.
All this knowledge.
All this knowledge.
You're like, well, what am I supposed to do with it now?
Yeah, that's pretty much that. So that's how I kind of learned so much about the music business before I even got a chance to get in it. So by the time I had a chance to actually look over or consider a record deal, which was my first at LaFace, I already knew what a good deal was, what a bad deal was. I already, and fortunate enough for me, man, LA and KP, they never pushed a bad deal. They never put a bad deal in front of me. Now, of course, there were some things that, I kind of took it from 14 points to 18 points just by asking, or I might have asked for 18 and ended up with 16, something like that.
Right.
And made sure that my publishing was still, was still there, and I still maintained the rights for that. And ever since then, man, it's been like, joint venture net profits, and maintaining equity in my art.
See, it always drives me crazy when I see these documentaries, see these stories, and it's like it's the same tale. Oh, man, we got into it and signed the deal, and the money was rolling in, and we were buying the cars and the houses, and then all of a sudden, when the hits stopped coming, the money stopped coming, we break up, bankruptcy, and then now you're trying to rebuild. And at some point you think, okay, anybody who's coming in today, did you not pay attention to this littered highway? And I think there's so many people they get still focused on the music,
right, and
not the music business.
Yeah, I mean, man, I think for one, art is like that because it's left brain, right brain. I forget which is which.
Right,
You know
same
what I'm
thing.
saying? But the side of the brain that focuses on art generally does not even attempt to tether itself or to intermingle with the other side of the brain that focuses on, you know, the meticulous details of contracts and, you know, business and things like that. That is usually the way it is.
Right.
And I think that an artist can kind of, they can bog themselves down with the details of business and smother their creative process. So it's always best that you have some knowledge and you know, but partner with someone who is just as strong at the business part as you are at the artistic part. Someone that you can trust, someone that, you know, you have like-minded values and you're mutually aligned in your efforts to push your art forward. That's what we call the sweet spot. You know what I'm saying?
But you still keeping an eye on them.
You got to, you got to have watchers for the watchers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was fortunate enough to have a very honest and dedicated attorney to kind of lead, guide, and direct me through a lot of these deals that I've done over the years. His name is Jonathan Leonard. And we talk a lot, you know, whether we're doing a deal or not doing a deal. You know, we just the same way. Let's just say, if you know, sports analysts and people who play athletes, when they hear someone just signed a deal for this many years and this much guaranteed, and you know, the people who are in that arena, they go, you know, they politic about that because that's, you know, that's of their interest. We do the same thing when we hear about people doing deals at certain places, like, oh man, you know, they gave him what? Well, what did he give up? How much is this? How many? You know what I mean? And we just kind of familiarize and we just, I guess, have a general interest for that part of the business. And it's always been about maintaining the equity in our art and being in control of our own destiny.
You see, that's the thing that is. I remember it was a book publishing company. They called me. They wanted to do a meeting. I was like, okay, fine. And this is when this was like the election was going on. Obama on CNN, Tom Jones Morning Show, all these different things. So they called me to the meeting, and so they asked me different ideas, and I had 3 or 4. So they're like dismissing them one by one. I went, hold up. So I said, first of all, let me explain something real quick. I've already published 3 books. I don't need y'all to publish a book. I'm already in media, so I don't need you to promote it.
Right.
So let me be real clear. All these ideas will get published. I said, so if y'all would like, I can take the author hat off, and I can put the book publisher hat on, and we can talk about paperweight, glossy covers versus matte, hardcover versus soft. We could talk about paperweight as well. If y'all want to have that business conversation.
Right.
And then it all like, I said, so let's just be real clear.
We got the wrong motherfucker in the room.
Right. I mean, I'm like, let me just be real clear. Yeah. I'm not asking you, can I write these books? Right. Y'all call me. I'm going to write the books.
That's right.
But it was just, they were just kind of like, because my whole deal was, I don't need you to say, yes, that's a book idea. Right. When I can do it my damn self.
That's real. That's real.
And it's hard for some people, you know, and I've been in other negotiations where they're thinking, oh, he's, when I was at TV One, they were like, and we were in the meeting, and my agent said, I hope y'all know, he knows his contract better than I do and his attorney.
Right. I think, you know, when we become knowledgeable and have a certain level of awareness of the details and the nuances that goes within our agreements, in some rooms we're considered problematic.
Oh, yeah.
Or troublesome. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
that's a dangerous Negro right there.
We don't want to deal with him. We don't want to deal with him. We'd rather go and deal with, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I've experienced that, but I I always felt like, man, what God has for me won't miss me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, sometimes missing out on the right opportunities will free you up to be available for the right opportunity.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free-to-download, free-to-use, next-generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you help build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on Start Engine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
Coming soon to the Black Star Network.
But y'all, when you're on that stage, or when you're and you're seeing 2 and 3, 4 generations in the audience, that's got to speak to you about the power of what y'all have become.
Oh, most definitely. I think we were doing our show before our break, and remember, I was watching this kid. I could not take my eyes off him because he was about 9 or so. He was sitting in the front row with his,
over on the right hand
parents.
side. Yes.
I was amazed that this kid knew everything, and I was like tripping to see how many songs this kid actually knew.
And he knew them all.
And he knew them all. We had to go over there and bring him on stage and take a picture with him, you know, at the end of the show and stuff, because it was just that amazing. It's like, this is crazy.
You know, the music travels everywhere, you know, like what Philip was saying, seeing this young kid, then you hear our songs on commercials, cold commercials. Then you have the younger ones that hear our music in animation.
It's all about what is your motive. So we talked about the equity piece. The 2 words I've always had in my whole career: freedom and flexibility.
Right.
So for me, when I launched this, I didn't want to ask somebody, hey, can I go interview this person? Can I go cover this story?
Right.
I want to be able to say, no, we're going.
That's real.
Or we're not going.
That's real.
Now the issue for some people is when they say, yeah, but you're not on a major platform. Then my whole deal is, I'm still good. So that's, to me, that's the validation part.
Sure.
I don't need CNN behind my name or MSNBC behind my name or another name to go, oh, now I have value.
Right.
When I can pick up the phone and call folk who will say, yeah, I'll sit down with you.
Right.
And they know I'm sitting down with you. It ain't who you with.
Right.
And I think that's the problem for a lot of people. They get caught up in the who you with piece without saying, no. If I can create, I can own, I can control, and now I can shape the product the way I want it.
Sure.
Without somebody saying, yes, now I'm giving you permission to move forward.
You know, that's something about the business that always rubbed me the wrong way. I just don't like seeking validation from other people about my visions. I feel like I always tell people, that's probably, when people say, man, what is the greatest lesson you've learned? What is the biggest mistake you made? I'm like, well, Probably sharing my vision with others and letting their opinion of my vision dictate and determine whether or not I proceed with the execution of that vision.
Such as, okay, I've got these songs and we need to listen to them and vet them, and no, we don't want to put that on, and we don't want, whereas you're like, no, this, I had a flow for this.
Sure. Well, that's one part of it, but let's just say if I had a vision to, for lack of better, I have a clothing line, 2 clothing lines. And I always wanted a flagship store, right? But my partners, they didn't necessarily want to get into retail.
Right. No brick and mortar online.
Right, where they wanted to do online and no brick and mortar.
Got it.
I wanted to do brick and mortar
Right.
because I felt like the destination of it all.
Got it.
I felt that it would always drive traffic. It would be a destination for my fans.
Got it.
You know, in other areas of business, and it would just kind of like generate interest for the clothing brands and for other parts of my business. And you know, they were just not interested. And you know, that was my vision that I had, and I knew that this would be the move.
Right.
But because they said no, I'm like, well, man, maybe they know, something I don't about, about the fashion industry. Maybe I should kind of, and I kind of talked myself out of it. Lo and behold, I watched my little brother Nipsey Hussle build his whole entire empire on his brick and mortar location. And it had become so much more than just a flagship store. It was a staple. It became a staple in the community, and it became, just something greater probably than even he imagined. And Nip came to me, right, early on, I think when we were starting our second clothing brand, not to be critical of my partners anyway, but I mean, I'm just giving an example.
No,
but
anyway,
I got you. So he came to me when we were rolling out our second brand, which is Hustle Gang. And Hustle Gang went from a merch item, which was just basically a hoodie with a logo on it, and we sold so many of them and created such a demand for it that, we decided to go full-fledged with the line, a full-fledged line. And so Nip said, hey, how did you do that from just a merch item and expanding it and rolling it out in a full line? I said, well, first of all, I already had developed a partnership with people who could do manufacturing and distribution and have sales department and do a lot of the other things that I wasn't as well versed at. And I gave him, that piece of information, and he took that and said, okay, I'm gonna cut out the partnership. I'm gonna learn about the manufacturing, and I'm gonna do the distribution, and I'm gonna give it a central location. And me watching what he did with the information that I gave him and how he kind of expounded upon it and gave it, and then with the technology piece, because that's kind of one of the first places that we saw QR codes actually implemented and executed properly within the culture. And I was just so proud, and I always was like, man, I really, I'm proud that I had, even just an ounce of a contribution in the insight that inspired such a phenomenal vision to come into fruition. But that's kind of like one of the biggest mistakes that I learned from. Your vision is your vision for a reason. Don't wait on nobody else to see what you already see. They not supposed to see it. You supposed to show them. You know what I mean?
Well, see, it's interesting because when you said that, like literally the first thing that popped in my head was, well, if I'm a T.I. fan, I'm coming to Atlanta.
Yeah.
The brick and mortar is essentially the meeting place, the home.
Sure.
And so if you decide to say, we're going to do a pop-up concert, or we're going to do this here, it's essentially, look, they can't come to your house.
That's right.
But it's like, this is Spike's place in Brooklyn.
Right.
So when he throws his Prince parties or his Michael Jackson celebration parties, he throws it right outside the building.
That's dope.
He's got his flags out there, so this is, and it's sort of, and again, that was the first thing, I thought of. For me, our studios is right there on Black Lives Matter Plaza in D.C. And so if I decide to do a book signing, if I decide to do a party, that's my space,
right,
that I can do whatever I want with it, and it's not just the studio.
Right. Now, so that's what I learned, right? So I took what I learned and transferred it into a new vision. So this particular vision is called the Trap Music Museum. The Trap Music Museum is a collection of installations that educate, entertain, inform, and inspire people about the genre of trap music. And we celebrate the most significant contributors, and we also provide insight as to why trap music is so relevant, how it began, what it entails. And we like to start, especially at the beginning of the journey, saying that the crack era is what made trap music possible. So many people share a similar story. So many people have been affected by the war on drugs or refugees from the war on drugs that is relevant to almost everybody. Almost everybody that looked like us has been affected by someone, whether they knew someone who smoked crack, whether they knew someone who sold crack, they knew someone who was locked up for crack. You know what I mean? Some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. All of us have been connected. So we are tethered together by that experience. And those of us who have artistic expression and are able to take our experiences and set them to music as philosophical presentations, we were able to bond, let everybody else know you are not alone in this experience. You don't have to feel by yourself. And we kind of took what was meant for bad and allowed God to use it for good. And I think that, that is the vision that I had. On the 15th anniversary of my album, Trap Music, we wanted to figure out how to celebrate it, how to, how to commemorate such a significant album to the culture. And the idea to do a museum kind of just, haphazardly came up in a meeting. And I was also purchasing commercial properties in Atlanta because the Super Bowl was coming. So I was just acquiring commercial properties, not knowing what I was going to do with it, hoping ESPN or the NFL network just come in and kind of, buy me out. But anyway, so I saw this piece of property. It didn't look like much at the time, and I'm walking around it like, what am I going to do with this? And in the back of my mind, I just hear Trap Music Museum. I'm like, how could we make this a museum? And instead of, and this is where me and my big brother, John Hope Brown, this is what we kind of argue about when it comes to financial institutions and how, creatives don't have access to capital because. But if I were to go to a financial institution and say, hey, listen, I have an idea that I need a business loan for, I need funding for, I want to create a trap music museum. They're going to say, man, what is a trap music museum?
Right.
Where are the comparables? You know what I mean? How are we going to secure or feel secure about our investment in something that has never been done? See, that's the thing about visionaries. We don't waste time trying to do things that have already been done. So a visionary looking for validation or seeking acceptance or seeking understanding from a financial institution, most of the ideas are going to fall on deaf ears because the system is set up to question
every time
the visionaries.
Every time.
You know what I mean? However, I have been blessed and fortunate enough to execute other ideas and visions, and it gives me flexibility and freedom, you know what I mean, to kind of invest in myself. And so I was just able to kind of, transfer some funds into the investment of that particular entity. And now we have a Trap Music Museum that is a staple in the community, was a huge part of the revitalization process in that community. Generated employment, and that's sort of like it was only supposed to be temporary. But 4 years later,
Wow.
We're still there, line wrapped around the corner. And I think if I closed it, they'll burn it down. You know what I'm saying?
Coming soon to the Black Star Network.
For y'all, when you're on that stage, or when you're and you're seeing 2 and 3 or 4 generations in the audience, that's got to speak to you about the power of what y'all become.
Oh, most definitely. I think we were doing our show before our tour, before our break, and remember, I was watching this kid. I could not take my eyes off him because he was about 9 or so. He was sitting in the front row with his
over on the right hand side. Yes.
I was amazed that this kid knew everything, and I was like tripping to see how many songs this kid actually knew.
And he knew them all.
And he knew them all. We had to go over there and bring him on stage and take a picture with him, you know, at the end of the show and stuff, because it was just that amazing. It's like, this is crazy.
You know, the music travels everywhere, you know, like what Philip was saying, seeing this young kid. Then you hear our songs on commercials, cold commercials. Then you have the younger ones that hear our music in animation.
What's up, y'all? Look, Fanbase is more than a platform. It's a movement to empower creators, offering a unique opportunity for everyday people to invest in Black-owned tech, infrastructure, and help shape the future of social media. Investing in technology is essential for creating long-term wealth and influence in the digital age. The Black community must not only consume tech, we must own it.
Discover how equity crowdfunding can serve as a powerful tool for funding Black businesses, allowing entrepreneurs to raise capital directly through their community through the Jobs Act.
When I was at CNN, and when they made the decision, so I signed in 2007. So when they told me in 2009 they were not giving me a weekly show, I was like, gotcha. I said, they are now about to become my personal venture capitalist. Meaning what they were paying me, I was going to take what they were paying me and then begin the process of acquiring my own equipment. So then when I was at TV One, CNN ends in 2013, I start this daily show on TV One, Vision.
Okay.
Vision that I had was far ahead of where they wanted to go. And I was like, this ain't gonna last. So literally, so when they decided in December 2017, the show's over.
Right.
I owned my own cameras, my own switcher,
Right.
my own lights. So when I did 2 months after that, this called the State of Our Union, tied to the State of the Union address.
Right.
Because the Black members of Congress like, we ain't going to hear Trump. So I said, what we going to do called the State of Our Union.
Right.
Call a black church in D.C. I said, hey, I'm interested. This is what I want to do. The pastor, in 15 seconds, said, done, you can host it here. So we hosted it. We booked all the guests. Reverend Barber, hey, I need you to get a keynote address. He said, Frat, I'm in. So all of a sudden, then we booked like 25 people.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, all I had to go buy was some bar stools. But the key is I owned, the most important thing is the equipment to produce it.
Right.
And I told folk, I say this all the time, you don't wait till your opportunity or your job ends to then start trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I was doing it while I was with CNN and TV One. So when that time ran out, I just made the transition, and I wasn't freaking out on how I can do this.
Right.
And that's why I try to tell, and I tell folk, every piece of equipment I bought is a tax write-off. So it wasn't like I was wasting my money.
Right.
I was going to be paying taxes anyway.
That's right.
So hell, I'm going to buy the damn equipment as opposed to send to Uncle Sam.
May as well let Uncle Sam invest in you. We've invested so much in him.
Yeah. But there's so many people, they wait till something ends
Right.
to then go, okay, how can I figure this thing out? I said, y'all, I start every job, I begin every job thinking, I begin the job planning when it's going to end.
Okay.
Because it's going to end.
Eventually.
If it's a job, if you don't own it.
That's right.
And that's the thing, man. So many of our folk get so caught up in, they get themselves caught after that thing is over, and then they trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. But now you got the pressures of how I'm going to pay my bills, all sort of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. You got to be willing to take the risk on yourself.
Yeah. Especially if you expect someone else to see it, they got to see it in you first. If you don't believe, what gives them the incentive to believe? But I mean, I think that I was fortunate enough to have those epiphanies, earlier. So now I can kind of see my way through a lot of the doubt. You know what I mean? I don't really search for validation. I don't expect people to agree. I don't expect people to really see what I'm saying until I show them, and the Trap Music Museum is a phenomenal example of that. And then even after that, so now we have this building that has a line wrapped around the corner, and it's packed every time it's open, and a tourist attraction. We were at one time doing more numbers than the High Museum of Arts. You know what I mean? And as far as
so the Trap Museum has really become the building that replaced your brick and mortar.
Exactly. But what I saw then, I saw that, okay, so the average person that comes to the Trap Music Museum, 90% of them are out of town. They're tourists. They want to come and see the essence of what makes the city as vibrant as it appeals to be, or appears to be. And they want to get a real. They want to get a real, I guess, a sense of how do these stories come together? How do these people, how do they mesh and gel? And they always ask after about 60 minutes. So the average, person's time in the museum is about 60 minutes, 62, 63 minutes. Average amount of money they spend, probably about $80. Depending on if they get a drink or not, or if they go to the escape room or not. And when they leave, they always say, hey, man, where else is there to go? Where else do we go? Y'all don't sell no food? Where can we sit and eat? And can I smoke hookah here? And, all that, right? And there's a building on the corner. It's really kind of like I don't want to say abandoned, but it looked like it was an old tire and body shop. Looked like it might have been an oil change place or something like that. And I saw that the owner was about to lease it to somebody. So I approached him. And I'm like, hey, man, let me handle this. Why don't will you sell it to me? And we have our negotiations, I talk. And lo and behold, 2 years later, I now have a Trap City Cafe that is next door to the museum, because I really wanted to service the people as the line wraps around the corner. Right. And, that was just an expansion or an extension of the vision. But I could not wait for someone else to see, okay, well, maybe, guys, y'all think we should maybe do this? And people would probably say, no, let's just focus on this right here. No, we gonna expand the vision, continue to offer new experiences to the people who make their way to this city.
It's always crazy when you are, first of all, visionaries are crazy. Because you're not supposed to just be traditional. Right. And the thing that always just cracks me up when you're having that moment, when an idea hits, and then people, they look at you sideways, and then they're coming up with all the reasons why we can't do it. And I always go, stop. why don't you spend some time on how it can work versus coming up with every other sort of excuse why it cannot. And I think that people just are naturally just, oh my God, I'm scared. It's just
that's what they do. They force their fears and failures on you because they can't see themselves doing it, and they automatically assume that you can't either. When I think, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, either way you right. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's important to follow your gut, to follow your vision, to be led.
That's still based upon knowledge.
Yeah,
you still have
risk.
Right, but what I'm saying is, when it hits you, you still acquire knowledge and understanding. Some folk get an idea, and they ain't no knowledge behind it, and then you go, okay, how you gonna execute?
And that's about execution. You got to put a team together, and you got to formulate a plan.
And then they
at this point.
I don't know, man. I just came with the idea. It's like, you might want to work on the execution part.
I think that's key. You know what I'm saying? The vision must be followed with a plan of execution.
I had a brother call me, and this was during COVID, man. He called me and, hey, I got this idea, and I really would love to interact. You, Tyler Perry. So he's going through this whole deal. and I said, bro, first, listen. I do this to everybody. Send me a one-sheeter. I'm not about to stay in here and listen to the 15-minute pitch.
Right.
Send me a one-sheeter. First, 99.9% never send a one-sheeter.
Right.
So he sends a one-sheeter. And so I'm reading. I was like, bro, this it? And I go, well, where's your plan? He said, well, no, really, I'm thinking if I can get you and Tyler Perry and this other person who could put the plan together. I said, that ain't how this works.
What they need you for at that point.
Right. I was like, I said, no, that's not how this works. I said, I'm just letting you know right now.
Right.
I said, I said, first of all, did you understand? I'm not emailing Tyler Jack. That's jacked up. If he can't get past me,
right,
I ain't gonna email him. He gonna be looking at me like I'm crazy.
Right.
I said, bro, this is your idea. You gotta figure out what the business concept is. I ain't heard back from him since. And it was a perfect example. Somebody who had an idea and who thought, well, let me just, if I can bring these other people along and y'all can figure it out.
Let them do the work.
I was like, that ain't how. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
You know, and those things happen. And I'm sure people come up to you all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And they got ideas all out the wazoo.
Sure.
And you hit them with 3 questions, and it's like Mike Tyson took a swing at them.
I mean, man, you know, speaking of Mike Tyson, he say everybody got a plan and they get hit in the mouth.
When you hit with them 3 questions, they like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, man, you know, I've also been blessed to kind of have access to a pool of talent, you know, and just I guess a crew of people with a wealth of knowledge that I could pull from and they can add to, you know, whatever visions I may have. And that's a blessing, you know what I mean, to have a strong support system that can help me execute anything that I may aspire to achieve. That's a huge, huge part. You know?
Oh, gotta have a team. Gotta have a team. I'm gonna throw this out because I hate when I have so many. It drives me crazy when I hear this phrase because when I hear how people express it, I hate because there's nothing behind it. When you hear someone say, "We doing this for the culture," what immediately comes to mind? Because it's used so much now, and I'm always going, I want you to explain that.
It depends on who's saying it. It depends on who's saying it and how, you know, how much integrity comes with that voice. You dig? And it could mean 10 different things with 10 different people saying it, you know? So it really does depend. You know, if you hear a large corporation say it, I mean, oh, they want to sell products to black people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you hear someone that's incredibly respected and revered by the people, by, you know, the masses, at least our people, then it's kind of saying, man, you know, We want to do something that's for us, by us, you know, control our narrative and tell our stories before some other people that don't look like us tell it for us.
And see, for me, when I hear that, what I instantly go to is, okay, who's owning it? I mean, we'll sit here and I'm just to the point where I'm going, who the black PR firm? Who the black law firm? Who the black engineering firm? Who's the black caterer? Who's the black transportation company?
Right.
Because I've heard a lot of people. I remember when I was at TV One, I'd be doing interviews like this, and they would send a photographer. And probably about the 5th time, I went to our PR people and I said, "Y'all ain't gonna send another white photographer to one of these interviews." I said, "Our black photographers already don't get hired."
Right.
I said, "A black network should be able to hire."
Right.
So we did a Bill Cosby interview. This is before everything blew up. So this white photographer comes in, and my man started taking pictures during the interview, and the flash is going off. Now Henry, who's over there, Henry was like, "The hell? Like we shooting an interview."
So you're doing a video interview.
Shooting a TV interview.
And the flash.
And my man got a flash going. That interview was over.
How did you handle that?
Oh, here's what happened. PR sister, LaMonica, this was like her first week. I walked up, I was like, "Let me holler at you. If y'all send another fucking white photographer here who don't know how to be around black people," I said, "You know what? Y'all gonna hire somebody black. Do you understand me? It's a whole list of black photographers y'all can hire.
Yeah.
Don't you ever do this shit again." She was like, "Okay." Like, this is my first week. I said, "Never again. I'm vetting."
Yeah.
No, man, I had to go off on them, but I needed them to understand we can't be a black-owned network and not use black vendors.
Right.
Our job is to disseminate the resources to folk who ordinarily don't get called. So for me, so when we built out my new studio, the folks who built out my control room, black engineering company, my lighting system, black lighting company, the set, black set design company. And that's what it means when you are recirculating the dollars in the community.
Right.
You can't be black and not make the effort to call black people.
That makes sense.
And a lot of our folk don't do that. And I'm going, no, you can't have the conversation on stage about, oh, we got to work together. We got to sit here and support each other. But then you make no effort to actually do it.
You got to circulate the dollar. I think that, as I've said a lot of times, first of all the problems that plague our community, all the different things that I guess replicate themselves in an effort or I don't want to say effort, in an execution to marginalize our people. 98% of it to be solved just by us sticking together. You know what I mean?
Right there.
If we could just stay solid with each other.
That's it.
Man, a lot of that would handle itself. It would subside. We had $1.3 trillion in spending.
Bruh.
And that is the answer to a lot of the resources that we don't have access to. That's the answer to a lot of the, the funds that we don't get invested in our communities. A lot of stuff would be dealt with if we just stuck together.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free-to-download, free-to-use, next-generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you help build Fanbase, and we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on Start Engine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early-stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.
Coming soon to the Black Star Network.
For y'all, when you're on that stage, or when you're and you're seeing 2 and 3 or 4 generations in the audience, that's got to speak to you about the power of what y'all have become.
Oh, most definitely. I think we were doing our show before our tour, before our break, and remember, I was watching this kid. I could not take my eyes off him because he was about 9 or so. He was sitting in the front row with his
Over on the right hand
parents.
side. Yes.
I was amazed that this kid knew everything, and I was like tripping to see how many songs this kid actually knew.
And he knew them all.
And he knew them all. We had to go over there and bring him on stage and take a picture with him, you know, at the end of the show and stuff, because it was just that amazing. It's like, this is crazy.
You know, the music travels everywhere, you know, like what Philip was saying, seeing this young kid, then you hear our songs on commercials, cold commercials. Then you have the younger ones that hear our music in animation.
April 3rd, 68, in Mason Temple, MLK says, black people, individually, we are poor. He said, but collectively, we represent one of the top economies in the world.
Yeah.
And what happens, man, for people is like, a lot of people got mad at me when I did a commentary, said, don't be mad at Dion if you don't support black institutions. And what I was saying is, don't be yelling, hollering, and screaming because Deion Sanders left Jackson State if you bypass black cleaners, black shoe repair shops, black all the time.
Yeah.
But you want him instead of HBCU. And folks were like, Roland, student loan debt is this. And they were mad because I was talking about the giving rate. And they were like, well, you know, but the national average, I said, I ain't discussing the national average. I said, if this university, only 5% of the graduates give a penny. I said, are y'all trying to tell me, well, you know, we ain't got much money? I said, are you trying to tell me that said person can't send $1? I said, $1.
Right.
Well, man, I said, no. I said, what you're doing is you're trying to figure out every excuse. Well, no, and then it was like, well, no, this not going to replace our schools being underfunded. I said, never said it's going to replace.
Right.
What I simply said is, if 80% of our graduates gave $10 each, well, man, that's only, this is what I love, but that's only going to come out to be about $1 million. I said, and that university can figure out what to do with that $1 million. I said, but you're offering excuses. And it goes right to it. We started acting as if what we can't do, and we just, we can't do that, and man, we ain't got that. I said, I'm just asking you to send $1.
Yeah, well, see, listen, the need, I think the world has made its way to this place with social media and, you know, just all the things, all the access to each other that we have. It has generated a need to be agreed with. And that need to be agreed with has made interesting opinions more valuable than knowledgeable facts. You know what I mean? And I think because sometimes people can have interesting opinions and a lot of people may agree with them or, you know, find it, you know, their perspective to be somewhat enlightening, and then someone come with a knowledgeable fact. No, nobody want to hear that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I believe that. I just think social media is kind of rocking us to sleep.
It is. Black Panther came out, and I remember when I think it did like 240 million the first weekend. And I put this out there on Instagram. I said, man, wouldn't it be amazing if every black person that bought 2 tickets this weekend sent that same amount of money to their favorite HBCU? Man, why can't you just let us have something? I went, I'm sorry. I said, I just want y'all to know. I said, the movie was great, but the money went to Disney. I said Disney.
Right.
And they were so mad because I was challenging them to say, if you drop $26, $30
Right.
on a movie,
Right.
saying 30 over here.
Right.
Well, and it was just crazy, just the reaction from people.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of folks I really believe one of the greatest things is, and this is not just black people, people cannot actually stay in accountability. We love to talk about what we need. Man, we need this. We need that. I saw some sister, she tweeted the other day, I can't believe ain't one black outlet covering the Megan Thee Stallion trial. She went off. I said, let me explain to you the realities of black-owned media. Let me explain to you how black-owned media gets 0.5% of the $322 billion in advertising. And then what it costs to afford a reporter, an experienced reporter.
Right.
Let me walk you through. So I did this whole breakdown. I said, so I said, and by the way, do you actually watch black-owned media? I said, sister, I've had my show for 4 years. I said, if we were doing 50 million views a month on YouTube, we would be generating anywhere from 750,000 to $1.5 million to $2 million per month. I said, which means that's 24 million a year, which means I could go hire 10 reporters who can specialize in this. I said, so why isn't it happening on this? Are you consuming our content every day with your eyeballs? Or are you sending your eyeballs to Love and Hip Hop or something on VH1 or another white-owned network, and then they're able to now take your eyeballs and go get advertising from it? I ain't heard from them since.
Yeah, of course not. I think most people rather seek out problems rather than solutions. You know what I mean? I think it's easier to just toss out what you feel is wrong instead of finding the things that could make those things right. I had an experience back when I think, Gucci had a kerfuffle, if you will. And, I was very vocal, along with Killer Mike, along with Tamika Mallory, and expressing to people, we should stop spending our money there. We should stop wearing it. We should stop buying it until they come up with a formidable solution.
Oh, I remember.
Or a formidable resolution to this atrocious act of disrespect.
Had you on the show about that, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, okay, let's do it for 3 months.
Right.
Everybody said, oh, what we doing it for 3 months for? That ain't gonna do nothing. Okay, cool. What they didn't know, and we always need a reason, you know what I mean? We always got to have a reason. Why we doing it? Why we not doing it like this?
Right.
But what they didn't know is I knew they were posting their quarterly earnings in about 2.5, 3 months or so. And I knew that the absence of our dollar would affect those quarterly earnings, and they would see a decline in their publicly traded stock. And then we would be able to come to the table and really demand some service.
There you go.
Well, some of us listened and some of us didn't. And the fact that we were questioned, ridiculed, criticized, finger pointed, they had created every excuse as to why it shouldn't be done.
Right.
I then watched my people stack up milk crates 3 months later to fall, break their arms, not having no health insurance, didn't need no reason or excuse to do that at all.
Right.
There was absolutely no reason.
Milk crate challenge.
Yeah, they didn't need no reason for that. They didn't ask, well, why are we doing this?
Right.
Well, well, is this, you know what I mean, is this healthy for our community? They didn't ask none of that. You see what I'm saying? And that, that just raised my eyebrow and kind of made me see that I'm fighting a whole different beast. Like this is, and I have a genuine interest and intention to help. I'm a solution-based person.
Right.
I see the problems within in our communities, whether it's a lack of capital or it's a lack of opportunity,
gentrification, housing.
All that stuff. I just try to fill the gap and provide a solution to what we facing. Like a lot of talk was swirling around reparations. Okay, let's see. And I just began to just think and explore potential solutions. In my thoughts and pondering, I saw that Lloyd's of London had apologized for the part that they had played in the transatlantic slave trade. A while ago, they, at the very beginning, they insured and loaned to colonizers who bought and built ships that were used to go and enslave our ancestors. And while I appreciated the apology, I wrote a letter to Lloyd's of London. I said, hey, listen, how about we work on something to actually, fill the void of financial access that our people have in this country that comes as a result of the part that you played in the transatlantic slave trade. And I told our people, hey, you know what, guys? How about we sign this petition? How about we all get together and, well, they'll never do that. That'll never. And I'm like, hey, listen, bro. I can't help like this. There is no way for me to help like this. So it almost makes me feel as though I just need to focus on me and mine.
Well, here's what first of all, I think for a lot of people, most people have absolutely no understanding of history.
Right.
And so anytime folks start coming to me with boycotts, I tell them, go read Martin Depp's book on Operation Breadbasket. It was Reverend Leon Sullivan who gave the idea to King. King said, come present to the SCLC here in Atlanta. He did. They adopted it as Operation Breadbasket. And the thing about what they did was when they went to companies, boycott was the absolute last thing. The first thing is they would seek data from the company. Then they would meet. If the company then said, we ain't doing it, they would then go inform the churches in the pulpits. And then they would launch the boycott. Then after the boycott would be the MOU in the agreement.
Right.
But here's what was amazing in reading the book. Depp was a white pastor who's still alive. He was on the executive committee.
Okay.
And what they did was when they would go in and meet with the companies, there'd be 5 or 6 of them. They were like, okay, here's the deal. You're going to be the agitator. You hate every idea. So you oppose everything.
Right.
You are going to be the mediator to calm everybody down. Your job is to pray. So everybody had a role. So they go into the meeting, they all perform their roles. Successful campaigns, agreements, but this is what he said. He said, our greatest mistake was we did not have the proper staff to follow through on the agreements. So we negotiated great deals, but we didn't follow through, coming back and check 3 months later. Okay, status report. 6 months, status report.
Yeah.
And then if you study Montgomery, everybody talk about the Montgomery boys boycott, 382 days. But everybody to understand, I interviewed Fred Gray, who sat down with the sister, his name escaped me right now, and when they did it together, it was a one-day boycott.
Excuse me?
The Montgomery bus boycott was a one-day boycott.
How so?
They said, we're going to not ride the bus for one day. When they didn't ride the bus for one day, they said, let's do 5 more. Then when they hit the 5th day, they said, let's keep it going. That's what happened.
Okay.
So what happens is we've done the reverse. A lot of folk will yell boycott first, but we haven't educated anybody on the why.
Right.
Then what we do is we then aren't building to it slowly.
Right.
Montgomery, 50,000 black people didn't get on the bus.
Right.
That's how it worked. But it was a constant. So then when they put the laws up, oh, okay, hold up. So we're going to need transportation. This is way before Uber. So who has more cars? Black funeral homes. That became the taxis. So they basically created their own transportation company.
Right.
Drive people in because when it rained. But it was a build. It was a collective. It was a building. And so every time when something happens, so when Diddy said, man, we holding our vote unless we get this. I called Diddy. I said, great announcement, but you got to have a plan. Ice Cube, contract with Black America. I said, Cube, you can call for it all day, but you're gonna need your troops. I said,
Cube kind of felt like he had it kind of thought out a little bit.
No, he had the plan thought out.
Right.
But the problem, but here's what I said.
Because it was pretty expensive.
But but the plan is one thing, but you still got to have the troops with you.
Okay.
So when you're walking in as an individual,
Okay.
it's just you.
That's right.
The power is when you walk in and you say, I registered 20,000 people before the election.
Yeah.
I got the database. I'm going to register 30 more thousand.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden they're like, okay, he done got 50,000 people.
Yeah.
See, so it goes back to, are you walking in? So what you were talking about was, I need y'all to roll with me. You were saying, let's do this thing together.
Right.
The problem is it was you. They were not, and they were not saying, yo, we don't have to ride with you. What I'm always trying to tell our people, I said, we got great generals, but you can't win no battles without troops.
True. And in order for us to put it out there and get it to them, we have to make the announcements.
That's
to
right.
Have a call to action.
So the challenge for people is, this is where accountability comes in. Either you're going to put up, you're going to stand up, or you're going to shut the hell up.
That makes sense.
Because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. If you ain't putting nothing in, I don't want to hear you complaining about, we ain't got this, we ain't got that, we ain't got this.
Yeah.
No.
Now I want to ask you a question, because I've heard, you mentioned the Montgomery boycott, and I've heard interesting alternative perspectives on that. Is it true that after the end of the Montgomery boycott that it was really just for a moment of inclusion to be able to sit with white people and not for us to build, as you said, our own transportation service?
Well, one, we couldn't. Because the reality is, at that time, literally, we're frozen out of everything. You're completely frozen out of your economic system. And yes, it wasn't breaking down integration. But for the people who say integration was a failure, without realizing there were so many of the systems we had no access to. We literally did not have. John Hope Bryan had an event at the U.S. Treasury Department. A brother spoke, and C.T. Vivian was there. Andrew Young spoke. This brother was the first black person to work at a bank in Louisiana. I met him that day. Up until 1968, no black person had ever worked at a bank in Louisiana.
Okay.
I was born in 68.
Damn.
So it was what we were frozen out of. The problem, and this is where Gerald Horne in his book about Claude Burnett calls it the Jim Crow paradox, is that for every time we were putting a nail in Jim Crow, we're also putting a nail in black advancement. In that while we were breaking down Jim Crow, we were not still saying we still have to maintain what is ours.
Right.
And so, to your point, we were breaking things down. Yes, going to this lunch counter, going into this department store, but now we're taking our money and we're spending it here,
Exactly.
not spending it on our own.
Because I see from the example you gave me when you said that the black funeral homes have they became the cabs and the taxis. Had there continued to be an investment in that who's to say that it could not or would not have grown to our own black transportation company?
If that was somebody's vision.
Right.
and that's where it comes down to it. And somebody got to jump.
Right.
And so, but that's even today. Even today, I can't, going back to the sister who's like, why ain't nobody covering this trial? Folk were like, when I launched this, man, no, dog, ain't. Literally, black people don't watch news.
Yeah.
I said, actually we do. No, we do.
Right.
But you have to create the product,
right,
do it a certain way. And I had numerous black people saying this ain't gonna work. I mean, across the board. And I went to every major black media company and met with them before I launched to say, let's partner. Because what I was doing, none of them were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Not TV, not Urban One, not TV One, not Essence, not Black Enterprise, not Blavity, not Degree, none of them.
Mm-hmm.
Met with everybody.
Right.
Nobody wanted to partner. So part of this issue that I think we have today, going back to your point earlier when it comes, and even when King talked about with the collective, we have got to get out of our silos. We've got to get out of, I want to see CEO on my name on the business card,
right,
and realize if we want to achieve scale, we got to be willing to partner to build. Otherwise, we're going to have a whole bunch of small businesses that never have capacity,
right,
and are never able to grow, and now walk into major companies and say, no. I now need 200 million in advertising.
Right.
I now need 500 million in advertising. And otherwise, it's here's the crumb that we're getting. Like I told one company, I said, you will never hear me praise you because you put a press release out. I will praise you when you make direct deposits.
Right.
What's up, y'all? Look, Fanbase is more than a platform. It's a movement to empower creators, offering a unique opportunity for everyday people to invest in Black-owned tech, infrastructure, and help shape the future of social media. Investing in technology is essential for creating long-term wealth and influence in the digital age. The Black community must not only consume tech, we must own it.
Discover how equity crowdfunding can serve as a powerful tool for funding Black businesses, allowing entrepreneurs to raise capital directly through their community through the Jobs Act.
Coming soon to the Black Star Network.
For y'all, when you're on that stage, or when you're and you're seeing 2 and 3, 4 generations in the audience, that's got to speak to you about the power of what y'all have become.
Oh, most definitely. I think we were doing our show before our tour, before our break, and remember, I was watching this kid. I could not take my eyes off him because he was about 9 or so. He was sitting in the front row with his
over on the right hand side. Yes.
I was amazed that this kid knew everything, and I was like tripping to see how many songs this kid actually knew.
And he knew them all.
And he knew them all. We had to go over there and bring him on stage and take a picture with him, at the end of the show and stuff, because it was just that amazing. It's like, this is crazy.
The music travels everywhere, like what Philip was saying, seeing this young kid. Then you hear our songs on commercials, cold commercials. Then you have the younger ones that hear our music in animation.
Now I see a lot of truth in the things and insight in what you're saying. Like, I just have a question. Do you think the lack of emotional intelligence will allow that to happen the way that it needs to happen?
Actually, I think the way
in the time that it needs to happen.
I don't think it's emotional intelligence. You know what I think it is? I think it's
a lot of us are distraught, but for good reason, not to be critical of us too much, because trauma is passed down
Absolutely.
through DNA. You know what I'm saying? So we're still
But a lot of
living
it's ego.
A lot of it is ego.
So here's the deal. So guy came to me and he said, Ron, let me ask you a question. He said, if a deal is put on the table that can make you $500 million, or it can make you and 9 of your colleagues $50 million each, which one you take? I said, the $50 million. He went, what? I said, let me help you out. If T.I.'s my boy, and Henry's my boy, and Anthony's my boy, and Aaron's my boy, and I got some homegirls, and we all getting paid, we can all go to Jamaica together. And I ain't got to pay for nobody. We can all enjoy, we can all eat. And that's 10 families. That's 10 lineages.
Right.
That are now, I said, that's understanding how we all can eat.
Right.
One of the biggest problems is that, even a lot of us, we want to be the only one. So we want to, I've literally had some black folks say, I want no partners. I ain't trying to, I want to own all the content. I want to own all the IP, and I just want to pay somebody a check.
Okay.
As opposed to, bro, you sitting on 400, 500 million.
Right.
How about saying, I'll make a millionaire? People dog Bob Johnson and Sheila Johnson. But here's what they don't realize. When they sold BET, they created more black millionaires with the sale of BET than any other black company in American history.
Interesting.
Bob and Sheila were the only ones who got paid because BET at one point was public. Then they went private. Then they got sold.
Right.
Those folks, to your, what the first thing you said was equity.
Right.
And that's the piece. And I just think it's so many of us are so caught up in, I'm the boss. I'm running this.
Yeah.
I need CEO, as opposed to, we can all eat, because you know what? You ain't taking it with you.
Right.
But if you're able to create generational wealth for multiple black families, that's game changer.
Solid.
And that's what I'm like, yeah, bruh, when we partner, because here's the piece. Rupert Murdoch sold Fox Entertainment to Disney for 70 plus billion. They were competitors. Sold it for 70 billion. Gave each one of his kids $2 billion.
Damn.
That's
That's inspirational.
Doc, they ain't got no problem partnering.
Right. Even if they don't even have
They competitors.
mutual interests.
They competitors.
Right.
But when it come to money, they like partner. NBC Universal, Comcast, is competitors with media companies here, but they venture partners in Europe. In media.
I think, again, being solution-based, rather than point out all of the problems and all of the things that, prevent us from doing it the way it should be done.
Identify those who want to partner.
And which is what I feel like I've done.
There you go.
With Killer Mike and I have partnered. We partnered on, we bought a building and a business from a black matriarch in our community. And we are now developing, the reintroduction or reimagining of that restaurant.
There you go.
That services the community. I think that building there, starting to lead by example.
That's it.
I think that's kind of, that's the best step that we could take in a positive direction.
When people ask me all the time, they say, I go to events and they say, man, we can just get consensus. I say, stop, you ain't gonna never have consensus. I say, first of all, because if you got 100 people, you will not have 100 people who actually agree.
Right.
They said, what you do? I said, easy. I'm going to start with the people who show up. So if I call 100 people and 8 show up, I'm not about to spend time on the 92 who ain't there.
That's right.
I'm going to say, all right, with the 8, but then I'm going to tell the 8, I need y'all to bring one person next month. Now we go to 16.
That makes sense.
And then we go to 32. Then we go to 64. I said, and I'm just asking you to bring one person. that's really for our show, for the network. I could have charged people subscriptions. I see, a lot of people can't pay $49.
What platform are you on right now?
My OTT network, Black Star Network.
Okay.
And with the show, of course, we still stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram. But we got the OTT. Plus, we launched a 24-hour streaming channel.
Got it.
And it was all built. And I said, people said, I remember a brother came on my Instagram. He was in venture capital. He's like, well, your business plan is messed up. You should be charging a subscription. I said, brother, as a sister who can't pay $4.99 a month, but she gave me $1.
Right. So how is it structured?
It's literally with a fan base and people contribute. Some people contribute each month. Some do one time. I ask $50. People give more, they give less. I've had one brother was watching YouTube. He said, "Man, I heard you building your app. I'm tired of YouTube buffering. Here's $5,000."
Okay, then. Well, let me ask you this: is there an ad revenue component?
Yeah, we have that
implemented.
Have that too as well.
Smart.
But the key is because you deal with these ad agencies and they don't want to give money to black-owned media.
Yeah.
But again, the fan base component is so important because, and look, I don't send them hats, mugs, nothing. Because I told them, I said, y'all, swag costs money. I said, every dollar is going into the show.
Right.
And they say, I probably had, out of the 20+ thousand people who've given, I probably had 20 people get mad. I don't get no hat. Everybody else said, what we get is the show.
That's right.
Is the content.
That's right.
Is the knowledge. Is the information. And we took that and then created the network and now have 5 other shows.
That's amazing. And
then got 3 in development and then plan and build out to be a true 24-hour black news and information network.
That's amazing. I hope to, I was a part of the group that acquired All Deaf Digital. And we're now, working our way through the world of comedy to create, cultivate content, and partner with other platforms and other brands, to create ad revenue. We've been doing pretty good. We're just inching our way towards, a more robust platform.
It's all about building.
Yeah.
That's it. And so when we do that, I think the future is bright when we're willing to put ego aside and then go back. We say we're doing it for the culture. Part of that is truly building what's black and that's black owned.
Yeah, and something that you can actually pass down.
That's it.
Generational wealth.
That's it.
For a lineage.
That's it.
Right on.
I ain't got kids, but my nieces and nephews will have kids.
Hey,
and they will be able.
Nepotism is nepotism. You know what I'm saying?
That's it. It's been working for them for a long time.
That's right. That's right.
T, I appreciate it, man.
Man, thank you for your time, man.
No problem. Great conversation. No, thank you for your time. Enjoy the conversation.
Right on. Love and
sir.
respect.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Yes, sir.